Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting on Wednesday, April 24th, 2024 at 6 p.m. It's the meeting of the Superintendent Search Committee. I'd like to call it to order. Deb, can you please take the roll?
Ms. Augustino?
Here.
Mr. Almeida?
Here.
Ms. Sheehan?
Here.
Mr. Costa?
Here.
Ms. Kuzic?
Here.
Mr. Kuchar?
Here.
Ms. Larrabee?
Here.
Ms. Obenwam? Ms. Pereira? Ms. Rigo? Ms. Shaw?
Here.
Ms. Stewart?
Here.
Deb, do we need the open meeting law?
I do have it.
Can I please have that?
Do you want me to pass it down?
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Deb. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees may therefore advise that such recordings or transmissions are being made whether perceived or unperceived by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. Salute to the flag, please. Right here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Open session, I'd like to hand it over to you, Mr. Kuchar.
Okay, was the mayor is he gonna say hello, or is he?
Mr. Mayor,
No,
would you like to say hello? Would you like to say
Want to say
anything?
hello, good luck, Godspeed. You'll be fine.
I've provided you with some materials. Tonight, we're gonna talk about what goes into a search, how the search is working, what the resources that you'll have will be, and nothing today is going to be confidential. When we meet again, you will have a chance to have seen the applications that will be coming in, and we'll be able to talk about the candidates in a officially and legally called executive session. So I want to, first of all, before we start, are there any questions that you want to make sure are addressed tonight? We're going to try to get to everything that we can, but there may be things that you will have on your mind that you will want to pose. And stop me at any time if that question comes into your mind and we haven't got to it. So,
Perfect.
okay. I have provided you, first of all, with an orientation guide. Let me go to my copy. Yeah.
When you step back, I think maybe we can do some introductions.
Oh,
Right?
would you like everybody to introduce themselves? I'm
I
sorry.
would, yes.
I forgot there was
Please,
a roll
that's
call,
it.
and I
That's
thought that
okay.
was it. So
That's
I'm Glenn Kuchar from the School Committee Association, and our job is to facilitate your work. We work for you, you do not work for me. So you are the client, we are the service provider. And the major decisions that occur in this room will all be made by the search committee, not by me.
Thank you. We'll just go in order.
Sure, so
Kevin.
I'm Kevin Almeida, the Chief Financial Officer.
I am Chanel Stewart. I'm CPAC president.
Mimi Larrabee, Vice Chair of the School Committee.
Mark Costa, former school committee member and community member.
Sandra Agostino, ESL teacher at Durfee High School.
Rebecca Cusick, I am a math coach interventionist at Sylvia Elementary.
Sophie Chan, I'm the social studies instructional coach and a community member.
Deborah Cabral, the admin assistant for the school committee.
And Mary Ellen Shaw, I'm the principal at Stoughton School.
If you could, pretend you're all angry with me And it's okay to raise your voices. We have a lot of soft-spoken people in this room, so I want the camera to pick up the sound, and I'd like to hear you as well. So, with regard to this particular resource, we're not gonna go through every part of every page. But I do want you to understand how the search will work, and what I think will be happening during the course of action. Number one, the chair is the servant of the body, not the master. That's Robert's Rules of Order. And the agenda is the property of the body. So whenever we're meeting, if there's something you want discussed, channel it through the chair and the administrative person who is responsible for assisting us, and it will be taken care of. But any issues or concerns that you might have that you want to raise with someone should be directed to the chair, whether it's here or whether it's later. Secondly, the minutes will be recorded, and we will probably have 2 sets of minutes. One will be the confidential set of minutes that will have all of the information that transpires here. And the other will be the same document, but the names of the people who are entitled to privacy will remain confidential. Now, the reason we have a search committee is that the Attorney General, who makes the rules on these things, does not allow the school committee to act as the initial screening committee. A minority of members may participate, but not a majority. So in order to have privacy for the candidates, we have the search committee, which is allowed to go into executive session following the open meeting rules. Most of the candidates would be reluctant to put their name out right away. They'd like to have some opportunity to be interviewed and identified as a finalist before they agree to be a public finalist. And that's very important. You might not know this, but one of the biggest challenges we have in this process is that candidates can be stalked by different interests. Do we have any principals in the room?
Me.
Oh, you're a principal,
Yeah.
okay. At what level?
Pre-K to 12.
Pre-K to 12? No, okay, so you've been a principal at,
Oh, what level am I?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
14 year.
I don't mean
Yeah.
what grade did you
Yeah,
complete?
no, 14.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, chances are, if you are and how many administrators who are not principals? And your position is?
The chief financial officer.
The
Chief financial officer.
financial, okay. So chances are, if you have suspended a student from school,
Mhm.
or counseled somebody out of the profession, or recommended budget cuts that cost somebody their job, they're gonna remember your name and follow your career. And if you apply for the superintendency, they may just start calling the school committee to tell them that Satan is bringing this candidate to Fall River. And we do have candidates who are stalked by disgruntled people. And those candidates were only doing their job, and in most cases, doing their job courageously, but if you've ever said no to a parent, chances are they'll not appreciate that. And if you've ever made a difficult budget decision, that's what you're here for, to take the heat off of those of us on school committees. So that's why confidentiality is important. And the rules of confidentiality do apply. Now, do any of you provide services to someone who has the expectation of privacy? You run a program where programs where the clients may be entitled to privacy? Or?
No.
Yeah, okay.
No.
On a limited basis, yeah.
Okay.
Because of the nature of the work, most of it is public record because they're adults, but there are some documents and information that would be held under privacy.
Students and teachers have the same rights to privacy as you would with your doctor or your religious leader, your attorney, whatever it is. So you want to be respectful of people's rights to privacy. There is no such thing as elected or appointed officials' right to confidentiality. In other words, your attorney has attorney-client privilege. Your doctor has clinician-to-client privilege. There's no such thing as appointed board member or school committee member confidentiality rights. It doesn't exist. So remember, whatever you repeat could be getting in somebody's way and violating somebody's privacy rights, so you want to be mindful of that. We do have contact information on everybody, so we know how to reach you. We may be
Email.
distributing information electronically to you. And we have posted the position. The position has gone out to about 1,300 potential superintendents, agencies that work with superintendents, graduate programs that train superintendents. The word is out. And Fall River is a community that is known. Everybody knows. Of course, people are always confusing Fall River and New Bedford, and they don't know which one is east and which one is west. Anything above 495, people are confused, but Fall River is a known community, and it's a respected community, and the district has a good reputation. So you don't have the kinds of things that could be problematic that would make people want to stay away, and we're optimistic that by the time the search closes, you'll have a number of decent candidates. Also, one of the questions I always get is, how many applications do we have so far? But you have to understand that 90% of the applications come in the last 5 days. So we've had situations where we have 3 applications on Friday, but when we close the following Friday, we've got 30 applications. The superintendent applicant lot is a procrastinating lot of people, and things just come in late. So we will be giving you a link to a cloud which will hold all the applications as they come in. I'll probably send that link out to you, Debbie, I'll send it to you,
Okay.
and you can distribute it to the search committee members. That will allow you to go to the link and see what's come in. And if you want to start reviewing the applications early as they come in, that's fine. We will close the search at 3 p.m. on the 30th of April. So nothing else will be accepted after that point. Now, there are some people who may miss the deadline, and it's not their fault. Occasionally, our server goes down, their server goes down, power goes down. They put something in overnight mail to one of the overnight carriers, and it doesn't get there overnight. That'll be up to you to figure out. It rarely happens, but it does happen from time to time. And you will see the complete submission that everybody sends in.
How long has it been out for?
It's been out now for 3 weeks.
Okay.
And it will have been out for about 4.5 weeks once
Okay.
the search is closed. I can't stop you from going to Google, but just remember that not everything on Google is accurate.
Amen.
So the references will be done by the school committee or its designated agent. So we will take care of the references.
Okay.
Not, as I say, there are people who lost their jobs because they did courageous things. So there are superintendents, and the majority that hired them are not the majority that's serving with now. So they lose their positions and they're out looking. Just because you were a superintendent and are not now, you shouldn't make assumptions about where they are or what they've done. But there's a lot of information out there, more than we ever had before. And there's more social media. I said, and we have a person that does social media, and it's It's a challenge. Social media has replaced gin as the easiest vehicle for making more mistakes more quickly than you could imagine. So there is that. The open meeting law applies to you. So that means that the meetings will be posted so the public will know when you're meeting, and the public can come in and watch you either on film or in person. The key parts of the open meeting law are that the meetings will be posted. Your discussions and deliberations by a majority of you have to take place in this room. So it's not a good idea to be going to Dunkin' Donuts and talking about the candidates. Now, the law says a majority of you may not deliberate anywhere but the meeting. So this is a group of 11. So theoretically, 5 of you could go to Dunkin' Donuts and have a discussion. We would discourage you from doing that. Please keep it all in this room. There will be also a separate confidential archive that the school department maintains that is secure for keeping the permanent record of the search, which will, the people who you do not move forward but only interview are entitled to confidentiality indefinitely. So that's why the minutes of a meeting where they're present to be interviewed will redact their names. The people that you elect from those whom you interview to go forward to the school committee will be asked, are you willing to accept status as a finalist? You understand that everything's going to be public? And I usually like to ask, is there anything else I need to know? Because if there's something we really need to know and you haven't told us, if I didn't know that this candidate was fired from 3 previous jobs because it's not on the resume, this would be the time to tell me. Because if you become a finalist and you haven't disclosed things we are entitled to know, that will affect your ability to be seriously considered at other times. Do's and don'ts, I talked about, the chair is also the spokesperson for the search, so if there are media calls, the fact that you are members of the search committee is not confidential. People can call you if they like. I just encourage you to refer any media calls to the chair of the search committee. Same thing with us. Occasionally, someone will call and ask us questions about, well, how does the search work? What do you do? And we'll answer general questions that are not specific to Fall River. And we'll provide you with any assistance that you may need, but the call should go to you. Okay. That said, this is America. You can talk to anybody you want. You can talk to anybody in the media that you like. It's just not a good idea to be that close to it. What will happen at the next meeting, I hope we will have the applications in by then. We will schedule your future meetings so that you know what dates you will be meeting. Tonight, we will start the process of identifying who might prepare what questions for the interview. We recommend 75 minutes for an interview. This is a very important decision. And in 75 minutes, you could ask 12 to 15 questions. And that certainly would be enough for everybody to get a question in and some people to get 2 in. And I think there's an urban myth that says every candidate has to be asked the same question in the same way, in the same order. Not really the case, but it certainly is fair that all the candidates are asked the same questions.
Now would that be up to this panel?
That would be up to this panel. It's also up to the chair to call on people if someone wants a follow-up. So if somebody asks a question, and let's say somebody asks a question about what's your experience with collective bargaining, and somebody says, oh, I did contracts all the time. Well, that's not enough. How about a follow-up question, like, yeah, but what do you think about collective bargaining? And you won't know the follow-up questions until you're ready to, until you hear the answer that you wanna follow up on. So we encourage you to ask follow-up questions, and they wouldn't be scripted, because you just don't know whether you get the answer. We do encourage you to look for depth from the candidates to show that they know something about what they're talking about, and to push back if you don't get an answer to your question. When the candidates ask us, give me some tips for these interviews, I always say, brief is good. Watch the edge you speak. You don't want to be getting into the phenomenological logistics of counterintuitive strategies for helping every boy and girl know everything they can do, and answer the questions. Those are my 3 rules of what you do. We will be asking you to identify those areas where you think questioning is important and to talk about the topics. Then your homework for tonight will be to draft those questions, get them back to me. I will aggregate them and get them to you for the next meeting so that you can finalize the questions and go through the candidates. I'll just tell you a personal preference or personal belief that group editing is a crime against humanity, and that be happy to work with you offline to assist you in getting your stuff done. What you don't want to do is walk into a room and say, okay, who has question 1? Let's talk about it. And then 3 hours later, you're ready to strangle everybody. So if we can do that, that would be most helpful. It is important that we schedule at least 3 and usually 4 evenings for interviews. I would suggest that you don't talk to more than 2 people a night, because if you talk to 2 people and you're able to start at, say you can start at 5, you go 5 to 6:30, take a half an hour, somebody comes in and does 7 to 8:30. You don't want to be the person who comes in at 9 to 10:30.
No.
So again, that would be up to you, and we should accommodate all of your schedules for those of you who can't get here till 6 or whatever. If you miss a meeting, you should probably not participate in the deliberation when that candidate's name comes up. You're certainly not disqualified if you miss a meeting. Too many people are getting viruses and colds and everything, and you can't predict the unpredictable. So there's that. The Attorney General does not allow questions to be written, developed, or reviewed in executive session. Now, if I may make a gratuitous editorial comment to the folks at home and everybody here, I think that is a ridiculous rule. How can you have a confidential interview if everybody might know the questions ahead of time? But,
Does everybody know what executive session is?
oh,
Yes?
executive session is a
Okay.
private session that literally remains secret. And during the executive sessions, you will move to go into executive session for this specific purpose. You'll take a roll call to go into executive session. You will explain to whoever is watching or viewing whether you will come into public session afterwards. And the discussion in the executive session and the person with whom you are interviewing, it remains confidential. Now, I will have for you, when you interview, you'll have a booklet like this, and let's say you've got 15 questions. You'll have a booklet, and on each page there'll be a different question, room for notes. It will be your personal work product, so that you can have it if you want to take notes and remind yourselves of who you're going to select. when you come together to pick the candidates that you'll interview, usually I find it helpful to do a straw poll ahead of time just to see where everybody is coming from. And once you get a sense of where everybody is initially, then you can start discussing whom you want to interview. That's your call as to whom you wish to interview. You might, say you get a dozen applicants, you could interview them all, or you could interview 4 or 5 or 6 of them. I would suggest when it comes time to name finalists, that you pick the people that you feel you'd be comfortable having as your superintendent. Now, if for some reason you've identified 3 people and you think you need 4, and you don't have a left-handed applicant in your finalist pool, and someone says, well, let's take him, he's left-handed, we'll throw him in the pool. Don't do that to him. If he wasn't good enough to make your final pool, don't make somebody go through the public process when you know that person isn't gonna get hired. Because nobody wants to be known as the person who didn't get hired in Fall River. So, in that. So what I wanna get going to, in terms of the work, is to start looking at the question topics that you might wish to pose, and looking at dates that you might want to save for your interviews. Now, in terms of, I've given you this question guide. We have hundreds of questions that have been asked. You can use these. You don't have to worry about being accused of plagiarism. They're all public sector. Many of these questions come from interviews that we've had that were really good questions. So I would be more inclined to ask you, what are the categories of questioning that you think would be most important to pose in the superintendent search? Now, inside the cover of the question guide, I've got like almost 60 categories of questions that people might ask. But you know what's appropriate for Fall River. So what I would do is I would ask you to identify those questions that you want to ask, and they don't even have to be on this list, they can be anything. And someone should take responsibility for drafting the question, getting it back to me, so that I can just put them together. If you need help, you can call our office. Now, Jim Hardy is working with me on this search. Jim is not here tonight, but you will see him as well as me. I'm going to give you a phone number for me, which is 617-733-0497. And my email address is gkoocher@masc.org, for Mass Association of School Committees. If you are trying to reach me, cell phone is best. I don't know about you, but I get 250 emails a day. And quite honestly, if we don't know who's sending it, we don't have time to open it. So if this is a Fall River related email to me or to Jim, and Jim is the letter J and the word Hardy, Hardy, @masc.org. So in any one of those cases, please call. And if you do email, don't hesitate to follow up. Not a problem. And Saturdays and Sundays are okay. You're on a tight timeline and things need to get done quickly. So what we used to do was ask you to have your questions in, and I'm making this up, but say you got them in by a week from Sunday. And then you're gonna close, well, this Sunday, oh no, they're actually gonna close a week from
Tuesday.
Today,
today.
Tuesday.
Okay, so we might wanna have your questions in by Sunday. And we used to say Sunday at 7 o'clock because that's when football ended. But if you could get your questions in by Sunday at 7 o'clock, then we can put them together, have them aggregated, and I can get them all back to you so that you can plan for the meeting when you finalize the questions.
How many questions are you expecting from each of us?
Well, I would, it's helpful not to have to consolidate someone's questions, but if we can get different topics, 1 or 2 questions from each of you, so I'm making this up, but let's say the subject is collective bargaining. You might have a question that opens up with a main question, and then you might have a follow-up that comes after it. But if you've selected 2 topics, you can certainly come back with that. Or if you're doing something as broad as leadership or curriculum, it's entirely possible that we might use them all. So I will aggregate and put in order all the questions, and then you can do with them what you like. So if that's okay, if you want to spend like 5 minutes identifying the topics that you feel you would like to either see asked or that you would like to draft for, can you just take 5 minutes and think about that? See, you can go a million ways with me.
I know.
And most superintendents can't concur. Are you in Westbrook?
I have to,
How long have you been here?
been with this district since 2010, but I've been in this role since 2015.
so I can have, I'll make sure that,
4 of these, 3 of these.
okay.
And if you send me an email instruction tomorrow, I can send you the electronic file with the questions in it.
Oh, okay, it's just the members that are here, I can make sure that they get this
Yeah, but you might want to attach the
electronic.
documents to the minutes.
Yep.
And then, when you have an interview meeting, the agenda is questions. And since the agenda is exempt from the open meeting law, we can work on the agenda in that way.
Correct, okay.
Do you want to have the people who couldn't make it call me? Or do you want me to call them, or how do you want?
It's whichever is easier for you. I know Shelley said she would be reaching out to to you tomorrow.
Okay,
But the other two, I don't know. I mean, I can send them an email
you
tomorrow.
might send them an email and just say if you want, they want to talk to me, they should call me.
Okay.
We've got about a minute and a half, if that's okay. We good?
Maybe another second or two.
Do we have any social workers in the room? No? Any mental health professionals in the room? I was made aware of the concept of wait time.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, you ask a question and then you wait till someone speaks up. Some people believe you should do it for like 10 seconds, and then others say sometimes it's as much as 2 minutes. So would anybody like to offer a topic just to get the ball rolling?
I will. Special education.
Okay, now, I'm gonna have to learn your names, which I,
Chanel.
Chanel,
Shane with 2 L's.
oh, I'm sorry. You are S-H-A. All right,
So Glenn, one of the things that I was thinking about prior to tonight's meeting and having participated in other searches is that, really knowing what the district's looking for. And so the survey was important, I just reviewed some of it, but, I thought that was important, like, what is it the district's looking for? What is it the community is looking for in its next superintendent? And so some of the things that came to mind is special ed, social emotional learning, strategies to deal with homelessness that clearly is affecting our district, strategies regarding budgetary issues for transportation, those sort of things
Yeah.
sort of came to mind. Now, I've chosen some of the categories based on that,
all right, so,
but I tried to tie it back to what is it really that the district is looking for? Like, what do we want in our next superintendent here in Fall River?
okay,
And those are some of the things that came to mind. That I know, even, cultural sensitivity and diversity. Back when I was on the committee, I think it was close to 30% of our population were non-English speaking. So that number's probably grown. And so, how much experience does a candidate have in those key areas is what I'm trying to draw from my questions. Because then it'll, at least for me, give me a sense that that candidate understands some of the challenges that's gonna come along with being in that position.
so experience in key areas.
In those key areas that have been identified through the survey or from the district. And so, whatever those are, I just threw out some that I know being familiar with the district that
So
are.
just because you're throwing it out doesn't mean you get to draft the question.
Correct.
So if you wanna
Correct.
give me what those titles are, I will write them
Sure.
down.
And I would defer, actually, I put them out there on the table, but
Yeah.
I would defer to those who bring that knowledge and background to the table to sort of choose or select those questions.
Okay.
I wouldn't pretend to choose a budgetary question, because I know I have the expert here with me who clearly could draft a question budgetarily that would draw that information to have us all feel comfortable that they knew the process, understood net school spending in grants and, you know, all of the funding sources. So I'd let Kevin do that, but, you know, social emotional
I'm
learning,
gonna say,
concepts or strategies for homelessness, ESL, you know, diversity, cultural proficiency come to
hang on,
mind.
hang on.
I'm sorry, Glenn. You didn't even have to wait 10 seconds for me to stop.
Deb's not even that quick.
And again, in previous experiences, it's really the strength of the search committee that was so diverse, that those individuals around the table brought that background. And so they were able to draft those questions to make, you know, the interviews
Okay.
really directed towards what it is the district was sort of looking for in its next superintendent.
I'd like to just add to that. I was thinking, I would like more time to read this,
Okay.
the survey results, cause I didn't even get to that, and I as well was also just circling.
Let me also say this, after you leave here today, if you come up with an additional topic that you feel is important and we haven't listed it here, feel free to identify the topic and add the question, and we'll put that in the file.
Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna leave here, you're gonna go home, you're gonna say
Right.
two things I should have said, but if you've got something that you can share immediately,
So I'd like to just add to that, it was mentioned special education, I as well, I'm on that train, but add alternative education
what is
as
it?
well. Alternative
Alternative.
education, and, some of the, you know, there's been debate back and forth about core curriculum versus life skills. And I think our district and our students are just lacking.
Right, something
when they-
versus life skills.
Yeah, so
Core.
core curriculum,
Core
core curriculum.
Oh, core curriculum,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry, it's the Fall River, I'm sorry. But, yeah, so, I, maybe something that has to do with life skills and, it being incorporated into curriculum.
Oh, okay.
And, community engagement, that was, the communications portion, and, you know, our, goes back, from what Mark was saying, we're gonna be looking for somebody that, you know, that has to be very versed in what Fall River is, right? So, right now, we're living in a district, in an urban community that is, it's a little violent for our young ones right now, you know? I also serve on a youth violence prevention task force, and we're knee deep into listening to our kiddos talk about this, and you know, I'd like to see a bigger community engagement as far as you know, I guess effort with. I mean, we're making strides, and I don't want to take anything away from the superintendent and her staff right now, what they've done. They've made strides in working with the community, but I wanna see that work continue.
Okay.
Okay, so that's my input.
I would add, also diversity as well, curriculum, teacher retention,
Hang on a
and
second now, curriculum? What was the teachers?
Teacher retention.
retention,
Oh, teacher retention,
and also nutrition.
nutrition?
You know, I absolutely agree, you know, with, and I think it's number 15 that are about recruitment, development, evaluation, and retention. You know, I'm a strong proponent and an advocate that I really believe that our adults in our system should really mirror the population we serve, right? So we're in the business of educating kids. When we sit in front and we put adults in front of students, I would like us to become more diverse as a district. And I know we've made some strides, but we continue to fall short. I'm not sure if it's in recruitment or retention, but I really think we need to really make that an emphasis in the next superintendent to, we really should be matching up our adults with the population we serve in our classrooms. And so, you know, if we can get a candidate who maybe could speak a little to that, strategies they may have about recruitment, efforts they may have been involved in, that were successful or maybe not successful, and why. Those things just come to mind, but I
Right now,
think those.
okay, that's an interesting standalone topic. When did you fail?
Right, you know,
When did you succeed? Why and how?
right.
I mean, you could go in that direction too as
From
well.
you know, I wanna come from a perspective where it's sort of a behavioral-based interview, so, and rather than just tell me your strengths, like, give me an example when
Right.
you've used this strategy, what was good about it, what fell short, what did you learn from it, what adjustments were made? I want someone who's gonna present in an interview where they're gonna use their thinking cap. I wanna draw from experience, not just tell me what's in your resume. I can read what's in someone's resume, but I really want them to sort of quantify for me, what is it they've done? And be frank, I went down this path and it wasn't as successful as I thought it was gonna be. We had to rethink it or we scrapped it. That kind of critical thinking is what, you know, as I'm approaching this, is what I'd be, you know, sort of looking for.
I'd like to see something around social emotional well-being of students, but also of staff.
I'm gonna make students and staff separate categories there.
Okay. And something around vision, what the person's vision for the district is. Because you want somebody to come in that has some understanding of where we are and where we need to be, and have thoughts about how that's gonna be met.
Can we add on to that question though, why Fall River, why the district, why
That's
the,
a really
why
good
Fall River?
question, yeah.
No, that's here, actually.
It's its own question.
Number 20, yeah.
Yep.
You know, this is a really, some of these things sound very simple, but a question like that gives you an opportunity to decide whether this person is telling you the truth. Your parents of middle school students, I understand, are particularly talented at that, telling whether you're telling them the truth or not. But we've, you know, some people will just try to BS and, well, actually we're on television, so I'll be more careful, but we did have somebody who once said at an interview, my entire life growing up in so-and-so, I wanted to be the superintendent of this community. And then at the next meeting of the search committee, somebody brought in some video from YouTube where the same person told another community, I always wanted to be the superintendent of this community.
They met as soon as they were done being the superintendent in the other.
So, yeah, that. Others. Yes,
So,
Barbara.
I would love to hear questions about, I don't know if it's leadership or management style, because I would try to dig into, is this person more of a leader or a manager, because there is a difference. And is that style inclusive of bringing stakeholders to the table, consensus building, how they resolve conflicts, that sort of, I know that's a big topic, but getting them to sort of explain their thinking as to dealing with such a big organization and how you resolve issues with the many stakeholders who are at the table.
And how responsive you are to
Yeah,
those
what's your
issues.
communication plan,
Yeah.
how do you respond to those people? You know, I will throw out the collective bargaining issue, because I think that's a very real issue for every
Yes.
superintendent.
Now,
And then teaching and learning was another one.
okay. When I say depth, I have had people answer the question on their collective bargaining experience. Yes, I did 12 teacher contracts, 8 custodial contracts. We organized the cafeteria workers, I did 4 of those contracts. I did about 25 contracts, so believe me, I've had my life experience in collective bargaining. I know it inside out. Right? It doesn't tell you much
Exactly.
about
Yeah.
what they think, that the thoughtful candidate will talk about what you think of collective bargaining, what the opportunities are, what the theory is and whatever. So if you ask that question and you don't get the answer, the follow-ups are very important.
I mean, we've had some very positive experiences in the collective bargaining process over the years in this district, and I would hope someone would come in with a positive attitude about, like you said, the opportunities in the process.
So you might also sniff out how much homework they've done about the district and whether they know that you may have had
Some innovative things
a
in
good
our contract,
experience
yeah.
or a bad experience, or what's going on with your, the K to 12 issue, your early childhood issue, or the districting issues and all that stuff. Others,
So I was, being the money guy, I was gonna say budget and finance, and delve into whether or not the candidate, what kind of districts they're familiar with, where they've been, and, if they have worked in a district that spends it just net school spending, and, how they would manage to circulate those waters, and how they would manage collective bargaining, and where we go with all that.
that's
in that-
connected
in
to
that
everybody.
piece.
Yeah, and I think to hop on that is that some of the collective bargaining and net school spending, it all pertains to some of the relations with the
So
Municipal side.
the municipal side,
a
so
savvy
there has to be,
superintendent would
right.
see, well, okay,
Right.
so now that raises another issue, municipal side relationships.
right,
Yep.
right.
I-
When it comes to net school spending, get the
We have-
relationships.
We have some districts where the school department and the municipal side are at war with each other,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
particularly in the towns.
And the work doesn't,
Yeah, and
Progress.
I've had the experience of
Right.
having
Right.
superintendents who've just accepted the number
Okay,
when they're told, and I've had others who've put their foot down and really advocated for what they really felt the district needed in terms of its funding
so
to get
because,
the job done. So I've experienced superintendents who said, well, this is the number, this is what I'm getting, we'll work with it. And I've had others say, that's great, but that doesn't meet your obligation under the law, and therefore we're gonna push back and you're gonna
ample
come up.
opportunity for
And
fight.
so,
right,
how the superintendent would, potential superintendent would navigate sort of those dealings.
And because we're on television, I'm not gonna talk about how most superintendents can't count money because they're not trained to count money. And if it weren't for a savvy business administrator, they would never have succeeded. But we're on television, so we'll see. Other questionnaires, yes.
I noticed here that we have social emotional well-being for students. I'm not sure if there are questions in here regarding social emotional well-being for staff as
Staff.
well, and just, just connecting it to teacher retention. I think that's something that we might really
I've got
have
the
to think
first
about
one.
that.
What was the second one?
Just teacher retention, just adding
Oh,
on
teacher,
stuff she
okay.
had mentioned earlier.
Okay.
I was reluctant to go there, I was hoping someone else would have gone there, but, I really think, their relationships with school committees. I know that sometimes it's difficult for superintendents, to have relationships, and so I'd wanna know a little bit more about how they would be looking to develop relationships with school committee members, what kind of support, what kind of, they would wanna be receiving from their committee, how they would handle members who may challenge their authority as superintendent, or sort of, wanna, make suggestions about how that position is run. Only because historically, I know that that's been a struggle. I've worked with 4 superintendents, and I can tell you that, maybe some days I would have been the person they claimed was giving them a hard time, but, so I'd like to know a little bit more about how they would navigate their relationship with the school committee. What is it they're looking for from a committee? Are they looking for a committee to be hands-on, or to sort of, be more of a sounding board for suggestions they may have? So a little bit about, that candidate and how they would navigate the waters of working with the school committee.
Now, one of the reasons that I did not discourage you from coming up with more questions is because school committees historically love the leftovers. So if you come up with 30 or 40 questions, put into the categories, and you love them all, you don't want to part with them, you can pass some of them off to the school committee and save them time. They do appreciate it. Anything else at this moment?
The other one I was looking at was transition planning, what a candidate would, what their transition plan looks like.
I'm also wondering about accountability and assessment, so with MCAS, I think that's something that a lot of teachers would be interested in, hearing about.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably in here. Probably.
So we've got about 30 items here. So what I would ask at this moment is if there are people who want to accept responsibility for preparing a question or collaborating to prepare a question, I'll ask you to identify yourselves now, and if there's something that is left unassigned, we can draft something for your consideration, and then we can ask the people also who aren't here tonight to respond. So, is there a copy machine in this building?
There is.
Yes.
If I wanted to make a copy of this page and share it with everybody,
Yeah.
can we? I think you should be able to read my writing.
Okay.
And then we can, in the meantime, you're gonna need at least one meeting to, after the deadline, to, review the applications and/or select the candidates. You're gonna get everything on May 30th,
April 30th.
excuse me, April 30th. So, if we started looking at May, are there dates in May that work?
Sooner the better.
Well, okay, yeah, sooner the better. Now, this is where the challenge comes, because we have a lot of schedules to reconcile.
Okay,
Um,
thank you, ma'am.
Conceivably, if you started looking at the stuff online as it comes in, would you be ready by like the 2nd of May to try to pick the interviewees?
Can I just throw this out there, Glenn? Is there a particular day, can we settle on, are we gonna do this on a consistent day of the week that works for everybody? Or are we gonna sort of, in other words, do Thursday nights work best for people, Wednesday, Tuesdays, or are we just gonna select different dates throughout the
I
month?
think it's the time constraint. I think it has, from my gathering, from my understanding, it has to happen before, the 30th of May.
Is that
Selection.
what the,
I think it's ringing a bell. I'm not sure if that's the actual date.
Okay.
Do you remember?
Oh, exactly.
The
I'm not
timeline
very
listed,
sure.
That's right, it's in the final.
Yeah.
so it has the, week of May 6th, semifinalist interviews, May 13th, finalists selected.
okay, I think we pushed everything back a week from that though.
This is the last one that I have.
Yeah,
Right.
but I think that,
Okay.
I think you have the week of the 6th and the week of the 13th. to, get those interviews in.
Okay.
So we're gonna have to pick 2 days.
Or conceivably, if people tend not to wanna do anything on Friday and they tend not to wanna give up their Saturdays, everybody's busy.
Tuesdays and Wednesdays are not good for me because
Tuesdays and Wednesdays?
Because I teach those 2 days at night.
Wow. Well, those are prime days of the week. How about Thursdays? Is, do Thursdays work?
What's the time that we're looking at?
Hmm?
What time?
What's the
are we-
consensus on the earliest people during the week can be here? It's not, I mean, I'm not saying only Tuesday, Wednesday, but is it 5 o'clock? Is it 4:30? Is it it depends on time.
And we're doing 2 a night, correct? You said,
Correct, I would say.
and you said
Be
75.
5 for me.
5
Yeah.
o'clock,
I can do 5.
I can
5,
do before.
it's not
I
a
can do
Tuesday or
before.
Wednesday.
I can do before.
Mark,
I mean, a little later the better, 5:30,
5:30?
but, I mean, I could make it for 5. I mean, I could
Whatever you
get-
want.
Okay,
Whatever you
so,
want.
When do you stop teaching?
In June.
Huh, in June?
It's an adult class for parents.
Okay. What about Mondays? Is Monday a problem?
Mondays
school
work best for me.
committee
well, I have a school
Monday.
committee meeting.
Mondays work.
Oh,
works
right.
for
Well, we
me.
have one on the 20th.
Oh, so you could.
Correct, but we could,
obviously
but
do
we
the-
could do
May
this, we
20th.
could do
Yeah,
the
that
6th
we
and
could do the
13th.
6th and
Correct.
6th
I'm
and the
not here that
13th
week.
would work for me. I don't know.
The 6th and
Yeah.
the 13th.
Yeah.
That works
And
for
this
me.
was a situation I spoke
Right.
with the mayor about, and we were supposed to be done, cause I'm going from the 27th to the 24th.
How about Thursday the 9th? Is that day, does that work for people?
That
Yes.
does, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, hang on a second now, Thursday the 9th. How about Monday the 13th?
Yes.
Mm-hmm,
So May 9th
That May 9th is a Thursday.
mm-hmm.
and May 13th.
May 13th is, is a Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, what about, Thursday the 16th?
Mm-hmm.
Alright,
My son's got a
alright.
school event,
Let's work around it,
recognition,
alright.
but again, I
How
could,
about, okay,
could
the
make it.
14th and 15th are not,
For me now. Well, if,
and the 7th and 8th either.
but if I
Oh,
have
what
to
about-
fail one of those days, I'll just ask them to give me
What
the
did we say about the
Saturday.
2nd, though?
Thursday the 2nd work?
second,
Mm-hmm.
2nd works.
Now, okay, that would be a good date to pick the candidates.
Okay,
Then we start bringing them in on Monday, excuse me, Thursday the 9th. Would you wanna do? You say 1 on Friday at 5:30 to 7, or you just don't wanna ruin the weekend?
on the 10th, is that what you're asking,
Yeah, I
or the
don't wanna-
Friday?
It's, yeah. Alright, how about that we have Monday the 13th, what about, Thursday the 16th?
Mm-hmm.
so we get the
that
2nd, the
the-
9th, the 13th,
Oh, did we say the 16th, did we talk, you said you
Well,
couldn't
we
do-
did before we
can't do
mentioned the
16th.
2nd,
yeah.
so we just added the 2nd, to
2nd.
pick
We
the
have May 2nd
candidates.
to pick the candidates, then
And then-
Thursday, May 9th, and then Monday, May 13th.
13th, and then probably need one, and you said the 16th was not good?
It wouldn't be
Yeah,
ideal, but
don't, alright, then,
I mean,
don't,
if that's gonna hold up the process, I can,
no.
I just,
And May
Don't.
6th is too early, or after the,
Oh, what was the problem with May 6th, was there any problem?
No,
Oh, let's do 5,
I-
6 too,
I can't do May 6th.
not
okay,
at all,
No.
okay.
no, 7, no, wait, so we're at 2nd picking, the 9th, the 13th, and if we absolutely have to, the 16th. Because we're unsure how many candidates at this
Right.
point, correct?
Well-
Do you want to save, I mean, what about Saturday the 11th?
I can't,
You can't,
my
okay.
son's first communion.
We'll all go to church.
The 17th of Friday.
It's my graduation,
Oh.
And I'm leaving,
I graduate
on
that day.
Yeah.
going for, a week, starting the 17th.
Okay, and the 14th and 15th are out?
I can, if we can't do another day, I'll just ask
Well,
them to get us up for me that
Can
one
you,
day.
can you do, what time are you free?
I teach from 5:30 to 7:30,
Oh, wow, okay,
yeah.
covers the
so-
whole thing.
What time is the
What do you,
the thing?
what would be the
time?
easier day to get a sub, do you think?
The
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Diamond Ovation, it's,
You wanna pick one of those days? Just,
In what week?
I think it's 6.
I would say either week,
The week of the 7th or the week of the 14th?
either one.
Either one.
Now, did we rule out the 11th, a Saturday morning early?
Yeah,
we
did
We did, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
How about the 4th,
Is the,
the Saturday?
is there
Saturday,
one of
May
those 4 dates that you could,
The 7th or the 8th is okay.
let's do it soon.
Well, Mark just questioned the 4th.
How about the 4th,
It's a
the Saturday?
Saturday.
I can't do the 4th.
Okay.
How about the 7th, Tuesday the 7th?
Okay. May
Right.
7th?
Yeah.
That causes conflict.
It's alright. We're not gonna be here all, like, it's okay.
Okay.
I'll ask them, they need
So,
to find me.
2nd, 7th, 9th, correct?
So you have
That and
4 available
13th.
nights, oh
Right.
no, you didn't do, did we do the 16th?
No.
No.
No,
We
so
did.
May 2nd,
So you have May 2nd
May
Sixth.
7th,
to
Seventh.
select, May
Yes.
7th, May 9th, and May 13th.
13th.
So you could conceivably invite 6 people,
Mm-hmm.
okay?
Yeah, we'll have 3
Now,
days.
if you get such a great pool that you absolutely wanna see more people, then you might have to rethink one of the,
The
one of the
conflict
other
days,
dates.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And conceivably then on the 13th, you could interview 2 people and then deliberate as well, and you would need another night for deliberation.
Okay.
Okay,
And we're
so,
saying 5:30, Mark?
I can do 5, I mean, whatever the consensus is. I mean, if it was pushed out a little bit, it gives me a little breather between leaving work and settling into a night of interviews, but I mean, I can do 5, I mean,
how were we, let's see,
5 would work, 5:30.
does 5 work?
Yeah, the sooner the better, because I think,
Alright, well, if you do,
I agree, Glenn, I've been in interviews that have gone on at 7:30, 8 o'clock after working
And you're
Yeah.
fried,
7,
so
8,
you
9
do one
hours and
interview at
everybody's,
5
you know,
and
so.
one interview at 6:30.
okay.
That's good.
Okay, now, do people want to, are there any questions, you've got the list of questions here in front of you. And if you see questions that you think you can consolidate, offer to consolidate and take them. But can I ask people to speak up if there's a question that they would like to be, let's say, the question editor for that? Now, if you don't object to it, if there are questions that are not filled in, we will draft questions for you to show you. So, I am all ears.
I would like to take SEL.
You're taking it.
Yeah.
Okay, now we have 2 SELs. We have an SEL for
Right.
students and an SEL for staff.
I would like to take both of those.
Both of them, okay, now tell me your first name again.
Mary.
Mary?
With an
And,
Ellen attached.
Yes. Can't stand the Mary.
Mary and, what was the other one here?
So it would be SEL
Yeah,
Mhm.
and
okay, Mary, okay.
Yeah, that's also the one right above nutrition. Cause I
Do
believe.
you want nutrition?
No, they both mentioned it.
Oh.
There's another SEL right above nutrition.
Yeah, that's Mary's.
yeah.
Right, okay, and the SEL on top.
I'll do the budget and finance.
Okay, you are
Kevin.
Kevin.
I'll do collective bargaining.
Who?
Collective bargaining,
You'll
I'll
do
do
that?
that one.
Hang on a second. Okay,
I can take core curriculum and life skills.
okay, hang on a second now. Core curriculum and life, okay, your name is,
Soklim Chan. Soklim Chan.
can you spell that for me?
Yes, SOKLIM.
Okay, okay,
I'll do sped and Y Fall River.
all right, sped, and you are,
Chanel. Shane with two
oh,
L's.
yeah.
Doing sped and alternative, is that what you're doing?
Sped
You're
and
doing
Y Fall
sped
River.
and which one?
Y Fall River.
The
Oh,
first
I
one.
see,
Okay, the first.
okay,
I can do the diversity, I'm interested in that too.
your name is,
And the nutrition,
you are
Sandra,
Sandra, you're doing diversity,
and
and you're gonna do nutrition as well? Hang on a second. Sandra. Okay,
I will, like to do alternative education and the community engagement.
all right, now,
Portion.
you are
Mimi.
Mimi, and you were gonna do alternative education,
Mhm.
all right? Mimi,
Where's that? Oh, here it is.
and
Community engagement.
Mimi, okay.
Can I just ask, that community engagement, does that include parental engagement?
It will. As
It'll
part of
include
the-
that,
it
okay.
will.
If not, I was gonna suggest maybe we
It
wanna,
will. It's gonna,
how do we
yeah,
engage our parents?
right here,
Okay.
community, parents, staff.
Can I take, teacher retention, did anybody,
Teacher
Rebecca,
retention, hang on a second. You are
Rebecca,
Rebecca,
teacher retention, and, could I craft something regarding leadership philosophy or leadership style?
let's see. Okay, we have leadership and management style
Mhm.
I gotta
as,
think about what that
as
is.
same line but different topics.
Mm.
You wanna take them and
Can I brainstorm and think on it
you
and
can break
send?
them up? Yes, okay, so that
And
would
we're
be,
sending our questions to you or to Mimi to send to you? What is,
well, you can send them to everybody if you want, but you should definitely send them to me.
okay,
Cause I'm gonna put them in order and then send them back to everybody else. Now, just a little bit of, side information. When you interview the candidates, the agenda for the meeting will be the questions.
Okay.
Compiling the agenda is exempt from the open meeting law. So I view these as agenda items as much as I view them as questions. But if you want to collaborate with somebody, you can certainly feel free to do that. Because you are collaborating on an agenda item that the body will deliberate on later, so that's how we do that.
So can I ask a question? Sandra, you're gonna take diversity, so can we roll cultural proficiency into that, into diversity? Does that make sense to do that one, or do we think it needs to be a standalone? Just for consolidating
You know,
purposes.
it depends on how you go about it.
Right, that's why I put it out there, just so that,
And the reason I say that is because people are arguing many different aspects of diversity. Whereas cultural proficiency is broad, there aren't as many different ways to go at cultural proficiency as there are diversity.
right,
So,
yeah.
so we'll leave it as a standalone.
you want cultural proficiency?
Yeah, sure.
Who, just a question, teaching and learning and curriculum, is it one person for both of them?
I was actually,
No, oh,
I did identify core curriculum and life skills, but I noticed teaching and learning and curriculum was right underneath that, so I'm
You could-
wondering, like, will I
Take
be
them
able
both.
to consolidate, yeah, like,
you know what? Hang on a second. If you want to meld the four
yeah,
into whatever questions you come up with, I'm going to, that includes curriculum?
yes.
Okay.
So Glenn, can I make a suggestion? We have a number of search committee members that
I'm not here.
are not here. And
Oh,
so can we leave some
mm-hmm,
that are sort of unassigned and see if they have some interest in drafting questions for those? Does that work, or,
yes,
I
we
just-
have,
I just, I know we have Shelley, who's a school committee member, who may wanna talk about relationships.
we have 6 or 7 that are out there.
So they, the student may wanna have, you know, a crack
So-
at one of them, or,
Why don't we do this?
I can send this to them tomorrow.
Yeah, one of them is now, the people who are not here, the student,
School committee member.
School
School
committee
committee
member,
member.
and the other one is a parent, but she also works for the district.
okay, so, accountability and assessment, here's what you have, accountability and assessment. I had experience in key areas, and then you outline the key areas, so I can just scratch that box out since you have the different areas that you're talking about. Transition planning, strategies for homelessness.
I'll take that one too.
Okay. Kevin's collective bargaining, strategies you've used, how and what. We can handle that one if you,
Okay.
okay? Vision, the same thing. We'll, see if one of the missing people would like to do that, unless somebody wants to take vision. Okay, leadership and management.
Could the vision portion be tied into why here, why Fall River? Like what is your vision?
I would,
or
well, you know what, I would make it, if that's the first question, why Fall River, why now, which it usually is, vision should be the second question.
Okay.
Well, anyone could ask it,
Okay, no, that was just,
okay? Under leadership and management style, we have different sub-elements of management style. And Rebecca, I don't know whether you wanted to figure those all in or build them into follow-ups. But I would say that if you did them in, or if you couldn't get to them, the school committee should get those if you can't make,
So
If that's
I'll
too
craft a question and list maybe bullets as follow-ups if they're not addressed in the initial answer. Okay.
and then, okay. And then relationships with the school committee? And deal-
I'll circle that for now, because what my suggestion would be is we get another list with everybody's name on the side so we know, and then the people that are not here, if they just wanna reach out to you, Glenn, and say, hey, I'd really like to ask this question, but so-and-so has it, would you mind having a conversation, or
Now-
can I have a conversation with Mimi to see if I could, let's just let's nail that down, let's,
Okay,
everybody
Yeah.
pick one and we'll,
I did put dealing with difficult people on the bottom.
okay,
That, school committees deal with difficult people all the time. And sometimes our members are difficult. So, for those of you who are on the school committee, you're gonna wanna come to the workshop we do on dealing with difficult people.
yeah,
But because we're on television, I can't tell you what we really call it. But that one would be same?
yeah.
Okay. All right,
and I will just say this, Glenn, if anybody identifies any of the cultural proficiency or strategy from, by all means, if someone else is, gee, that's something I'm interested in,
Right.
by all means, you can assign it to them, that's fine, I just don't wanna leave anybody
if,
without an opportunity to.
if somebody wants to, offer it to somebody else, and, or if you're stuck, let us know.
Right, no, I'd be fine
No, I
with
don't
it, I
mean to be
just,
stuck over that.
I think, that, some people may feel very strongly about, this is the question I really feel, that's fine, I'm not tied to either one of those that strongly, so I could ask another question
Okay.
and be
Yeah.
fine with it,
I think
so.
we just wanna give them an opportunity to
Right.
be able to have a
Right.
voice
Right.
on what they'd like to ask the
Okay.
candidates, that's
So,
all.
you've got the question assignments, And we have the dates when we will be meeting.
Mhm.
And, does anybody have any other questions?
Now, actually, I'm gonna stay on this topic. As far as our missing members tonight, are we gonna get this list out to them tomorrow? And shoot an email and just ask them, are you interested in any of these topics? If you are, please let me know. I just wanna make sure they have a voice, that's all.
One of the things we do when we do training for chairs is we always tell them, never ask, does anyone else have anything they'd like to say? Because then you get a comment and 7 rebuttals, which leads to 7 more rebuttals. So we're about 5
And
minutes.
adding another day.
We're about 5 minutes early, if that's. The other parliamentary rule that I want you to know is that the meeting is not over until you've taken a roll call to adjourn the meeting, and the chair declares that the meeting has adjourned. Even though you've taken the roll call, it's not over until the chair says that the meeting is adjourned. You may need that someday if there's something they forget to do and you need.
I can entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Ms.
Roll
Augustino,
Thank you.
Mr. Almeida,
Yes.
Ms. Sheehan,
Yes.
Mr. Costa,
Yes.
Ms. Kuzic,
Yes.
Mr. Kuchar.
Yes. Well, no, I don't vote.
Oh, okay. Ms. Larrabee,
Yes.
Ms. Oldenwu, Ms. Pereira, Ms. Rigo, Ms. Shaw,
Yes.
Ms. Stewart.
Yes.
This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.